Hello, so today we're going to check out this furniture modular set, which consists of these pre-made objects and also custom parts that you can see here, like wooden pieces and then some hinges, locks, and metal parts. And we are going to use them to create our own custom objects and import them in Unreal. So when you click add to cart and purchase this product, in your download folder you'll see this zip file. And if you open it, you'll see the folder for all the stuff where you can find your meshes, textures, and Blender file. So you just need to pull this out in the folder of your liking, and then you'll have this folder that I already opened. And in the beginning, you'll see something like this, where you'll have this startup scene, where you have these whole objects that you can use, but you also have these custom pieces that we are going to use and create our own objects. So first, let's enable this low poly collection. And from here, we are going to take all the pieces and connect them into an object. But before we do that, one possibility that you can do here is basically enable the high poly versions. And you can use these high poly versions to basically bake your own textures or paint them in software like ZBrush. And the way that you can do this is you can select first your high poly model, then hold shift and click left click on the low poly version, and then if you click Ctrl P and keep transform, now you'll connect the high poly piece to low poly piece, and if I try to move the low poly piece, you'll see that high poly moves with it. So now I can use this to basically create an object, and then I'll have all the high poly pieces in place. But we're not going to do that here. What we're going to do is basically take these pieces, create some objects, and then import them in Unreal. And the way that we're going to do that is using basic move, rotate, scale to basically take a piece, click Shift D to duplicate it, then we can just scale it, rotate it, and basically set it in place and kind of make it less repetitive. Now that we have created our two objects, we will see how we can import them in Unreal and then create some materials. So as you can see, I have created a cabinet and a big box with some stuff in it. So right now they're in separate pieces. And if you look here, I just order them or put them in a collection called build 1 and build 2. So if I select build 1, this collection, click select objects, and then click Shift H. that basically will hide everything except the box. And now I'm gonna click Ctrl J, or actually I have to select one of these objects, click Ctrl J, and this is gonna combine everything together. And if you look here, we have only one object. And now we can just rename it. Let's name it just box. And before we export it, I'm just gonna click 7 on the numpad, then click G and move this box in the middle. So I'm doing this so it is nice and centered in Unreal Engine. Now that we have this, let's click File, Export, and FBX. And this is my carpet and full set folder. And in here, all that you have to click is limit to selected objects, so you don't export all of the objects, even the invisible ones. Now we can just click export, but we don't need it named cabinet, but box. Let's export. That's it for the box. Now let's select build. Let me actually just click Alt H, so it hides everything. And now we can hide the box and just select build 2. Right click, select object, Shift H. Let's click at any part of the object. So there always has to be one active. Let's click Ctrl J. And let's just move it in a position. So something like that would be good. Okay, that should be fine. Now that we have this, let's click File. Actually, before we export, let's actually rename it. So let's name it Cabinet. And let's export it. And now you can go into your Unreal Engine project. I created a new project and just clicked Save for the map. And then I named the map or level furniture set. So we have that here. Now we can import it. And I'm gonna leave all the settings here as defaults, but something that you might want to change is this material import method, which maybe you don't want to create materials and you want to create them from scratch. But I'm gonna leave to create new materials. Let's import all. And here you can see that Unreal already created some materials and they did a pretty good job. Only problem is that right now it's using the roughness as metallic, and we want that to be in the roughness options. So I'm gonna do that. Let's open the iron also. And let's move everything in place. And now let's connect it to the roughness. So let's click Alt, left click there to disconnect it. And let's do that for this one too. And also let's see the textures that we have here. So for the metal, we also need this metallic texture, which let's click and import it. And before we import it, we can also be a bit more organized. So what I'm going to do is click right click and new folder and name it textures. So you would also have a separate folder for your objects, but for the sake of the length of the tutorial, I'm just gonna do this quickly, just to have a bit more organization. And inside the textures, let's import this metallic. And now we have these two textures. Let's click save. And for the wood, I don't think we have metallic, we only have roughness, normal, and base color. So that's it here. Let's go into our material. Let's select a node, click Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and let's change this. Actually, this is in wood, we don't need to change this. We only need to change the iron. So let's duplicate it here. Use metallic and connect the metallic where it needs to be. So now our object is way more shiny. Now again, for the sake of the organization, I'm just gonna rename this to m/base metal. And let's actually put this cabinet inside our scene so you can see what's happening. So why I named it base metal is because I'm going to create instances from this. So we can have different types of metals. So if you go here, you can see that we have silver and iron, but right now we only have the iron. And we don't want to create a separate material for each type of wood. So let's do this first. So let's go into base material. And before we continue, since this is not a DirectX normal map, we will have to invert the green channels. So let's double click on the normal map. Click on the drop down menu, and here you can click flip green channel. And you see that the direction flips here. Now we also need to do that for our wood. Let's find it here and flip. And that's basically it for the normal maps. So let's create some space here, so the metallic can fit in. Now let's right click and type parameter and find texture object parameter. And let's name it base color. Now we're going to create 4 of these for each of the textures. So you can just click Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. Let's name it metallic. Create it again. Roughness. And the last one is normal. Now let's right click on our base metal, create material instance, and name it mi/iron. And here what you can do is select all of these, and this is for instance iron, so we need iron here. This is metallic, then we have normal and roughness. And now we have this material. Now I don't think something is working well here. Yeah, so the normal had to be set up. We can also do the same here. So you can have these textures as defaults, but later they will be set up here. So let's save this. Now that you have this set up, we can also do that for the wood. Yeah, okay. Now let's rename everything. And here the normal. Now let's select silver or wood. Now for the metal we have the iron, but we also need the silver. So here we are going to import that. So let's select all the silver. And you're probably going to have the duplicates since we imported the metallic. And now we can easily just take this base color, create material instance, and name it mi silver. Let's double click this and let's change all of this to silver. And let's click save. And now, if you take this silver and put it here, we can see that you have different materials based on this instance. And if you create any new materials, you can easily just right click here, create material instance, and get this window and just select your four textures, and that's about it. You have everything else set up.